Good morning, police emergency. How may I assist you?
Good evening and welcome to Ghana Police Watch TV series. This evening we present our second special update on the missing Takoradi girls, which has been described as one of the most captivating, if not tragic, crime stories of our time. The missing girls are Priscilla Bentum, 21, Ruth Love Quating, 18, Priscilla Crunchy, 18, and Ruth Abeka, 18, recently added as a fourth girl. It turns out that Ruth Abeka was actually the first girl to go missing on July 29, 2018. After investigations stretching over a year, the case took a dramatic turn when the police discovered suspected skeletal human remains in a well in cesspit tank on the premises of Samuel Wills, the key suspect. On August 14, 2019, all four families of the missing girls consented and gave their samples for DNA testing at the Western Region Police Headquarters in Sekondi, Takoradi. The forensic team and pathologists have been working and possibly finishing their job now. The big question everybody is asking now is, when the announcement is finally made, will the results turn out negative or positive? In other words, have we sadly found the mortal remains of the missing Takoradi girls? This evening, we discuss the implications for the family and indeed the whole country if the results turn out negative or positive. Not an easy task. Since the story of the kidnappings broke, we have all felt the pain of the families and their loved ones. Our special studio guests this evening are Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, Director and Dean of Academic Affairs, Ghana Armed Forces and Staff College, and Superintendent Dr. Kofi Ejepong Afrifa, Head, Ghana Police Forensic Laboratory, the key forensic scientist directly in charge of the DNA testing. We're truly privileged to have these two gentlemen join us in the studio this evening. Before the discussion, however, Ghana Police Watch shall return briefly to Takoradi for a few highlights of the investigations and find out what the families think about the possible results of the DNA. Takoradi, Ghana's oil city in Western Region, now boasting an expanding offshore industry complemented by onshore tourist attractions, especially hotels and beach resorts.
The city buzzer has got the whole city on lockdown.
For several months now, the rather relaxed Twin City has been thrown into panic and gripped by fear as a result of the kidnapping of 3 young girls in August and December last year.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You are still live on Radio Max 105.1. And I'm sure right now you've heard about the big issues that almost everybody in Ghana are talking about.
The kidnapping cases in the metropolis. We shall hear from the police. We shall hear from parents of these kidnapped victims.
I will feel na minya call wo mu phone do. Ti minya call mu phone na mbebe ba yi oji mbebe ba pen no oji phone de opele onyin pako no kasa na mso no nka adam na me ne kasa no so no de da wonya botel na mbisa meba no also upon a chow opele onyin nwa ne kasa na so ne nwa wore nchen onye ne hwinimum origiskan.
Priscilla's brother got involved in the negotiations with the kidnapper and recorded some of the conversations.
Hello. I've been seen a student at the Ghana. But I'm in this police station. I've been seen at the Ghana. Give me some reason why they are at the Ghana. Okay, my balance. Your balance. And you are Emma, you send you to the Ghana in Ghana. Then it means you are fooling us. How can we release that? When we give you the money, you are going to release it.
I get my balance, that's all. I don't have any issue with her again. I am not collecting any money again. It is not my 500, that's all.
Because earlier on you told us that you are
hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Yes. If I get my 500, I'm not collecting any money from anybody more than that.
Okay, as for me, I don't have any money. I don't have any money on me.
Okay, then don't call this night.
Oh, bye-bye.
At one point, he waited all night at a popular junction with his mother, waiting for his sister.
Man 25 no catch him there. Yanke Jina Nkofo Junction. Na one in the baba. Until that time, no, I'm not mommy. Ike Jina.
During the holidays, no, and a guy and a friend say, "Minion no to say." kwama de no ne yemia ne yanti yen face cam don fan todi anema no ono so obi a wani di a osa kakra won ho nti wani di a ampa na ne yem eye ne ya guy ni frɛ biem na me se o baby e won a new site currently in phone sika wo so 50 cedis nti ye send ye da amount o ka 50 cedis on tumi fan todi ane e fa ma menu ano
minya phone call na eye me ba no na erefrɛ nti me fai ye hello abna o se da ma ko hye baby o nim baby amewo oh ayi fa no wa ko hye awu ni baby awo wo ye den na ukodu ho se me fro ka bi ehwa na me yem ende mentumi engina phone no so emmisa no ensem bio se one hinanom ne wo ho ana se wore ye ne den na de eno me di ayem hihye ene kekamu. The second time I mean nya ho kwan kasa bio no no se da mpamocho mmeboa me why.
The first significant break in the case was the arrest of Samuel Wills on December 22, 2018, a day after Priscilla Crunchy was kidnapped. So you surrounded the place and you came in through the back.
Through the back entrance. We came here with the fiancé, Emily Alimo. We arrested her on 21st December 2018 in Koforivia, and we brought her to this place. We ordered everybody in his room to come out from the room. And they came out and we realized Samuel Wills was not
amongst them.
They entered this room, they didn't see anybody there. Yes.
So they came out. You came out.
We were here and we heard one of our officers say, Onwa.
Okay.
Yes, he said Onwa.
So
because of the accent.
Yeah.
Yes.
You came, the officers had to come all the way to the back here.
Yes, they came. So he called some of our officers that I've seen him here. He's here. And they rushed this place. This is the entrance to the room where Samuel Wills was arrested on the 22nd day of December 2018 at about 3:30 a.m.
Really narrow.
Yes. This is the actual room.
The police was making significant progress in the cases when the unfortunate happened. Samuel Wills escaped from the cells on December 30, 2018. It was a significant blow. His recapture in an uncompleted building at Nkrofo on the outskirts of Takoradi was another dramatic development. This is the back of the house, yes, as we have it.
And this is where we found the clothing of victim Priscilla Crunchy.
Were they just lying on this wall?
It was under.
Behind the wall?
It was behind the wall. And the family came and identified those clothing as
hers.
Hers.
At the time you're saying this burglar proof wasn't there?
It wasn't here.
You, me bana atare. Say, mpanyinfo ko hu atare no. Wodi kan frame me ba panyin no. Say, omra mehwe ade a won hu ni. Ndi ono okọ na mpa o frame say won hu abra na atare. But na
Developments in the case recently led to the police returning to where Samuel Wills lived and an intensive search of the compound and surrounding areas. This is Cancer Road where Samuel Wills lived. So that's a septic tank.
Yes,
where
this is a septic tank.
Remains were retrieved.
Just
looking at this area, this is certain and abandoned.
Yes,
I mean, this one
uncompleted.
Has not been completed
yes.
at all.
When we came, this place was like this, bushy like this. So we have to clear this area because we wanted to find the septic tank, which is normally called a manhole in this house. This particular one is the one which we were able to open, filled with liquid waste, mixed with feces materials. Yes, we picked a long stick from this place, and one of our colleagues stirred the liquid waste. We saw a human hair women rasta. That you normally call mesh in it. So we suspected something here.
Was it mesh that had been used or mesh?
It has been used, meshed.
So it came off somebody's head?
They have tied it with a ribbon, yes. We found it here. And also a bone.
So
we retrieved it from this.
You had to drain
yes.
the water.
So we informed our regional commander, DCOP, Mr. Regima Vincent Tejo, and with the assistance of prisons, we were able to drain the water from this, the liquid waste from this septic tank.
Suspect Samuel Wills was then brought to the scene. What was his reaction?
He said he doesn't know anything about it.
New intelligence also led the police back to the uncompleted building where Samuel Wills was recaptured after his jailbreak. We're making our way to the well, which is right here. It will take quite a bit of effort. I may need to help you. Okay. This is the
well.
The well.
Yes, we retrieved a full set of remains suspected to be human remains.
Skeletal frame. Complete skeletal frame.
Yes, complete.
In this one.
This one.
On August 14, 2019, all 4 families of the missing girls consented and gave the samples for DNA testing at the Western Region Police Headquarters in Sekondi, Takoradi.
Initially, the doctors explained how the process will go and also the need of the DNA. And they told us it's not going to be anything cumbersome, just a small saliva they need from us. We asked a lot of questions, but all of the questions were explained to us. And that even I asked whether, as the bones were in water and that it has kept long for some time, will it be possible that they can extract whatever they need? And he answered in affirmative that despite that the bones have kept long, if only the DNA is still alive in it, they can get whatever they need.
How did they collect it with the saliva?
He used something like the stick which they used to clean the
cotton swab.
Yes, cotton. Yes, 2 joined together, and then he swiped from the left side, and then also from the right side
of your mouth.
Yes.
Did you both give up samples?
It was me and my mom.
How long did this last?
If I add the lecturing that it happened there, maybe like 30 to 45 minutes, yeah.
Right. But were you satisfied with the process? Did you have all your questions answered for you?
For the question, they couldn't answer because according to them, they said they are here to take samples because we asked whether when they went and did the investigation on the remains, how old or how mount are the remains, they couldn't answer us. But we believe that it's not our girls, it's just some story they are framing, so we know our girls are alive, so we know they will surely come.
With the remains though, they still have to subject you to some analysis before they can tell, and which is why they need your cooperation to let that happen.
Yesterday they said we have to go for the DNA, so we went there for the DNA.
It turns out that Ruth Abeka was actually the first girl to go missing on July 29, 2018. This was the last place she was sighted. It's not so far from the Diabene Methodist Church.
We are class leaders, so we leave here early by 5:30.
She was here with her colleagues, with the children, just like you see them here now. It's the last time any member of her family ever got to see her. That's Sunday, the 29th of July 2018.
It was Monday around 12 p.m. when I received a call from unknown number. He said he's Kwame. That is what the person said, and I asked why is he calling me. He said my sister is in their captive, So for me to get my sister back, I need to pay 350 million before they can release her. I was afraid at that time, so I called my grandmama and informed her what has happened. She took the number and also called the person, and the person told her the girl has been kidnapped.
Now they have
added your
granddaughter too, but she was first.
And I pay woman you call police head office. Now I believe in Cranberry. No, was over for samples for your Obey Yaminadu, and young here, your kabum, there, you all the Yammy Bay. Ma said what the share, Hinen. I mean penny bean, or ya mail in penny bean, or ya performance, a baby balance and penny bean, or the share envelope. I was what Okaka.
Did they get you to sign a consent form?
Oh yeah, we signed on the envelope. Yeah, we signed on the envelope, yeah.
Our assignment was pretty simple, to come here and take DNA samples from the alleged surviving relatives of the missing persons that we are after. I did a little bit of counseling. I explained the procedures to them, and they understood, they cooperated pretty well, and the samples were taken with no hindrance whatsoever at all. So yeah, it really did go well.
You could clearly get DNA from bones. Bones are made up of cells, and cells have DNA. Most cells have DNA. So once you can get the DNA from the bone, it is very easy to match the DNA of the bone to the DNA of an individual who is thought to be relative to the person we are looking for. And if there are matches there, and of course DNA matches of relatives are quite comparable.
Once I have received the boxes from the crime scene, the first is to determine which ones are biological materials and which ones are non-biological. The items I then determine whether really the biological materials are human remains or otherwise. Subsequently, would have to sort out the skeleton, which is what I did.
We have to see if the bones are all intact or if there has been some sort of trauma on any of the bones, because it will tell us what happened which led to the death. For example, if there is a bullet wound in the skull, it clearly tells you that the person was shot in the head.
Are you worried that it may turn out to be her remains?
I told the IGP the other day that when your daughter died, though it's painful, but it's just a period. But when a child got missing, it's a trauma. And you always have that thing on you. So if the DNA result comes and then they said it was her, it's a destiny. Because you can't predict destiny. The way that person will go is up to this big man over there. So when they came and then they said it's
our daughter is not dead.
You don't believe that she's dead?
You don't believe. I don't believe at all. I don't believe.
How about you, Matilda?
She's somewhere also thinking about us.
How do you know?
I can feel it within me that she's still alive.
Even if they are alive, what they are going through, because they are in captivity. And every captivity is something different. That pains our hearts, but we believe God that we will get them.
What are your expectations? There's a possibility that the remains may turn out to be that of Ruth Love-Kwesing and the girls.
It is never going to be our girls. Our girls are alive. They know that the girls are there. So they should go and bring them. They know that the girls are there. Whether it is negative, they can just say it's positive. So we don't believe in anything that they are going to do. We know that our girls are alive. Some of them are aware that the girls are alive. It's not their remains. So they should go and bring our girls. That's what we want. Wherever she is, I know the good Lord is still protecting her. And I believe that one day she will come back. Mayfair, wherever you are, just keep your hopes up and keep on praying. We are not going to leave this case until we've seen you here. So I believe that you are going to come back home.
So at this point, the DNA, your samples have been taken and the DNA is going to be done. What are your expectations?
Okay, we are expecting the result to come to be negative.
As far as you're concerned, you're hopeful that your sister is alive.
I'm 100% sure that she's alive. Yeah, other girls.
Yeah. It turns out that it is positive.
Mommy there, I'm the Mojidi there. On yet, Ahona. Nemum open the mumpa on hope. The same thing there. Yami or Combia, Biala Namda or the Bass Asido. Nyamino in Bian and Butaya or the Bass Asido. Minjin there or Yaman open the mumpa on hope.
How about you? What if it turns out that it's positive?
It's very painful, but we just give it to God.
Mesre, a possible the yellow car, it's one I didn't have one paba. Nina de Chino, one paba, one command. Ah, well, proud once ever can be.
Did they explain to you when the results will be out?
We asked that question and he said, you need not rush to produce something which will not be the actual verdict. So you're going to try and try and try before you come out to the final verdict, which will be the final conclusion of the whole thing. We will be asked if, some of us asked whether if it is done, we can have the chance to
do your own
elsewhere,
independent.
Yes. And he said, yes, we have that chance, but he's assuring us that as for DNA, it is the result that they will get here. If you send it to anywhere, Germany, South Africa, USA, it's the same results that they are going to give to us. And that nobody is interested to do something towards this thing. And even his job and his integrity is online if he doesn't speak the truth. So as for that one, we were assured of good results.
Now, at some point you knew that your daughter was missing. Then now you're having to worry about the possibility that she may be dead. How did you receive the news when you heard that the skeletal remains had been found?
For that first Friday, in fact, I was very sad. Throughout the whole night, I couldn't sleep because the skeleton was not found anywhere but near the house of the first suspect. And what worried me most is that when he was rearrested, they found my daughter's breast. So if it has turned out that they have found some skeletal bones in the pit near where he was staying, but I became very sad. So, but the assurance was that you have to make this DNA test to test whether the bones they found were actually those of our missing daughters or not. So I'm praying that if God will, it should tend to be negative.
But are you worried that it is possible that it may be your daughters?
Oh, I know there are wicked people in the world, so you can do more than that. So if I don't doubt too much that he cannot kill the girls. I know he can do it. Though I don't know him, but how he has dragged matters until this time without telling where the girls are, I know it's possible. Yes, because we are in this wicked world. Yes.
Are you prepared to receive the news whichever way it goes?
Oh yes, I've been saying it all the time, that I don't have any doubt. If it proves to be positive that my daughter is died, why not? I can't do anything than to accept and then make the funeral, then life must go on. Abna, say what you say, Yankopon adum say what you say o baby a. Nyame kan say show hoden. Na yenso ebusu abom pai say ho Yankopon ne pa. Baba kan yensa. Ina diaro ho say we fie nche. Na so say senya ye kan say woda so te asena wo wi a ye de ho asese wa kora so abinu sebri. Ye bom pai say obebua yen enu police fu a wori ye dwuma de ahwe wa ba na won so hu ane pa won sa kan no do ba be fi asomdwe mu.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Takoradi. You're welcome to the discussion segment here on Ghana Police Watch. And here with me in the studio this evening, I have Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso, who we've often known as a foreign relations expert. But there's a side to him which this evening we're going to get to know. So welcome, Doc. And you tell me about this background, international security analyst, all of that.
Thank you for having me. Actually, yes, there's not a single person on earth who has only one side. It applies to me too. I did international relations to the full. And part of it is international security and all security matters, national, international.
All right. So we're going to be tapping your brains as far as this is concerned. Also here with us in the studio is Dr. Kofi Frifa. He is the head of the DNA laboratory of the Ghana Police Service. And he heads the team that's trying to unravel all that's coming out. The remains that were retrieved, they're trying to examine it to see if indeed it is the remains of human beings first of all, and if indeed it's linked with the remains of the missing Takoradi girls. Thank you very much for making time. Often when people encounter the police, they encounter people who stand by the roadside. But there are experts like Dr. Kofi Frifa. I mean, highly regarded wherever you go in this world. I mean, you're a top-notch expert. You tell us about your background.
I have been a forensic geneticist for the past 10 years. And we have done a lot of the work, those that are known to you and those that are not. I must also pay tribute to my fellow officers. Deputy Superintendent Alexander Bedu-Boateng, Deputy Superintendent Sami Intuakomia, Deputy Superintendent Eva Emefa-Morty, and Deputy Superintendent Emmanuel Bwampong.
All right, yes. So we'll come and hear a lot more from you. But I want to start with you, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso. So we have seen this mini documentary. What do you make of all the pieces of information that we've gathered so far?
I would say very fantastic. It's a piece that tells a story. The narrative was clear. What the police has done up till now, the genesis of the whole thing, and you did a good job yourself as a film with a genesis and a speculative ending, kind of. And I believe that the Ghanaian public has been treated to some kind of narrative that clears the air about everything.
Yes.
More importantly, the work of the police. So I believe that the documentary was very good. It's a narrative that tells it all.
But I must also commend the production team that's behind all of this. You have a creative storm production team, and we're out there, we're doing all the hard work, filming and all that. Dr. Kwesi Owusu, Mildred, Victors, Matthias, everybody, the camera crew and all that. We do appreciate you. So Superintendent Dr. Frifa, you are at the head of the team that's working on this. You tell us what your work entails and what we are to expect from you.
Indeed, this is the masterpiece of investigation that the police has done. It's just fantastic. The exhibits have been submitted to us in pristine condition. We have sampled and we've been able to extract DNA, thankfully.
Okay.
That is the beginning of it.
That's good news, because there were concerns that you probably may not, the quality of the sample may not give you what you're looking for.
Exactly. So as a forensic geneticist, you have to determine which bone, which part of the human remains that we are likely to get. In this particular case, you know, there were 4 heads, skull, that were taken. We know that for the skull, you can't miss. So we have to make sure we take samples basically from the skull and also from the teeth, you know, some of the teeth. Basically, we had to go as far as taking the molars, and we did that. And thankfully, together with some of the femur bones, thankfully we were able to get DNA. So we're working.
Okay.
We're working.
So I'd like you to hold on with that, because, Doc, this is the very first time we're actually hearing that we have confirmation that what we have are indeed human remains.
Right.
Because initially the police was talking, the statement that came out from the police was that it was suspected human remains. Now we have confirmation, which is a good step.
Very good step. And I think they are being professional. In fact, Ghanaians, we saw the bones and we say human remains. Yeah. But as a professional, we say suspected. And then when you confirm that they are human remains, the next step is to find the DNA which they have been able to extract. The next step might be, he may be more professional in analyzing, but the next step would then be the matching of the DNAs from the DNAs they've taken from the relatives to see whether they match. So meticulously, they will be going through this process before we have a yes or no answer to what we are looking for.
One other thing we got to know was that after when you get the remains, you have to, the pathologist would have to put them all together, assemble them, and so that you can get this full skeletal frame and match the bones to the particular the skull. I mean, you know more about that.
When we talk about DNA testing, we're talking about a type of test, a type of relationship testing that uses certain tools to arrive at a certain conclusion. It can be used in crime, you know, unraveling crime. It can be used in relationship testing to determine whether someone is related to the other. It can also be used in the area of medicine, where certain diseases can be diagnosed using this DNA technology.
What you're focusing on is relationship testing.
Yes.
So that when you want to migrate to the US with your family, and they want to know that every member of the family is indeed related to you.
That's a good point for DNA testing. Why? Because of the fraud in trying to acquire visas for relatives. So you see the good use of DNA. Anyway.
Exactly. Not only in relationship testing, but in other medical applications as well. For instance, sickle cell anemia can be diagnosed with DNA testing, and a couple of other diseases as well. So yeah, you know, it has several applications.
But you're focusing on the relationship
testing. And in this particular case, in relation to crime. So we are going to do relationship testing, you know, trying to match up the genetic makeup or whatever profile that we are able to get out of it, if we should, with the surviving relatives, surviving alleged relatives of the skeletal remains. So in relation to this particular case, we have to use surviving relatives, mothers, fathers, and if indeed it is any of them, when we do the matching and it matches with any of them, now the calculations are going to come up with a 99.99% probability.
99.99%. That's almost definite.
Exactly. Because, you know what, the probability that two individuals in this world will have the same set of genetic makeup, with the exception of identical twins, and people who have, you know, had some form of tissue or organ transplant, is 1 in 1 trillion. The probability that two individuals
That's a lot.
will have the same set of genetic
Virtually impossible.
identity. It's virtually impossible because you know we have just about 8 billion people on Earth. So once you do it and there's a match, it's going to come up with a 99.99%. 99.9%.
There's nothing like 75%.
No.
99%.
For relationship testing, it's either is 99.99 if you use what we call the STR marker system.
Okay, well, he's getting technical. Certainly, we're convinced from what he's telling us is that whatever work they do, once they come up with the results, we're sure. Whichever way they go, I mean, wherever you go, testing it is going to be the same.
Exactly.
Yes, once you use the same parameters, once you use the same kind of scientific analysis, and as he's saying, technically, it's got to be so close that there is no, so it's either 99.9% or zero.
Yeah.
Kind of. So if you get your 99.9%, then it is the matching of Mr. X or Madam X, which matches with this or that. So I believe that in technical terms and in scientific terms, there's not going to be any mistake.
Yeah.
Because if you follow the parameters, then if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's yes, it's yes. If no, it's no.
Okay.
And I think they are on it.
Okay. So fortunately for now, you've been able to extract DNA from the remains that you got. And you can confirm that we have human remains. What we have are human remains.
So we've been able to extract DNA. We will be able to tell, actually, once we've been able to extract DNA, we can say that they are human remains, but we can pin it down to the girls, as it were.
Right.
We are yet to delve into the genetic analysis vis-a-vis the families whose DNA we took the last time around. And then based on that, we'll be able to draw a conclusion.
So the police told us that we should expect some results in 4 weeks. How close are we?
So we are close. The analysis will be completed very soon. We are close, very close.
Okay, it looks like we're making some headway.
I strongly suspect that we are making some headway, but I will still plead for the public to be quite patient. When the police say we are very close, you can be as close as anything, but the science of it can bring some kind of results, and you need some more details. As I know, in forensics and in DNA testing and that sort of thing, reagents are brought in at a point when you need them. They are not always on the shelves. So if they say they are close, it means that they may have gotten the reagents, they are working on it, and I believe they have. When they say they are close, it means they are matching things.
Okay.
So let's hope for the closeness to close. In such situations, you got to be very careful from the security point of view. You're going to give a result, and if the result is false, turns out to be false, I mean, the credibility is there through the window. And so even if he knows that they want to be more meticulous, more careful, more sure that, look, this result we have, it's like working some mathematics, getting to the conclusion and going back, working backwards.
Yeah.
You know, we all taught mathematics, and that's what they do. They come up to the result and say, what if this? And so I believe that, yes, if they are very close, let us all hope that within some days, they are able to tell us something.
We are looking at two possibilities here, or two outcomes. It's going to be a yes, a confirmation,
That's right,
or a no.
That's right.
So if it turns out to be a no, that the DNA do not match or does not match the alleged surviving relatives, what happens?
Yeah, so if it's a no, well, straight away go back to investigations. How come those remains were found there? The police will have to unravel whatever has gone on.
Okay.
And then, yeah, it basically goes back to the investigations to figure out what really happened. How come they were found there?
Right. So, Doc, some of the questions that are going to be asked, if it turns out that it's a no, we want to know who are these other people? Then how did they find themselves there? And a whole lot of questions.
Of course, yes. Naturally, as he's saying, when it's a no, then the police have more work to do because you have to unravel the mystery surrounding they being dumped there. Whose bones are they? Who are they? In some places where I know, I mean, the US, for example, there was a case in which it took 38 years to unravel a certain mystery using DNA testing and using forensic artists to put flesh to the bones. and on and on and on. So such cases don't die if it's a no. They don't die. They will still have to preserve the data for the police to keep on unraveling the mystery. So I strongly suspect that if it is a no, we haven't finished the work. Yeah. We must identify who they are, who killed them, and how did they end there. So there's more work to do.
Yeah. But then if it also turns out to be a no, then we still have to look for the girls.
Sure. It follows that whilst we'll be looking for who they are, the current bulls are, we should also be continuing to look for the girls. Stories about they being in Nigeria, Niger, whatever it is, it means investigations must still go on to bring closure to the missing girls saga. So it's like the police would still have more work to do if it is a no.
All right. Now, so we are also looking at the other outcome, which could be that it is confirmation that it is the girls. What happens in this case?
So if that happens, all we do, write out a report and send it to the appropriate authorities, in this case, to the CID. And then our job is done as a forensic scientist.
And then we can expect an announcement.
Precisely. I mean, that's
whichever way, there's going to be an announcement.
Sure.
Yeah. So when we find out that indeed these are the girls, that'll be a tragic end to this investigation, because the people the families we have been speaking with, they're hopeful that the girls are alive and they're still out there. I mean, I'm one of those who, I'm still very hopeful that we're going to find the girls. And if it turns out to be a confirmation, I mean, I will personally be devastated.
It will be a shock to the nation. In actual fact, the families are already grieving. Yeah. The whole nation is bleeding. And I strongly suspect that that will come as more kind of trauma. I believe the nation must find some kind of spirit in supporting the families, in making sure that the nation is healed, because it looks as though we have not had many of such situations. Yeah. And this is a situation which creates a big problem for the nation. The police have done their work very well. If it comes out, then I believe that they have done a good job. But then it is it's going to be traumatic for the whole nation now. And I believe the nation must find a way of resolving this issue by supporting
so
the families.
you would advocate a situation where we find a way to help them properly bring closure to this?
Sure. I believe that we help the whole nation to bring closure to this, because there are so many speculations.
Especially the families.
Especially the families. The whole nation has been on tenterhooks, on speculation, on narratives that are not professional. And so if we are able to find a yes to this, that these are the authentic bones of the missing girls, then we have not finished. We need to heal ourselves. Yeah. We need to support the families. We need to disseminate this information to them in such a way that they will continue to grieve.
That is critical.
Yes.
I mean, the announcement, how it is put out.
Put out there. Very, very important. But I think we have professionals working in this country. At times, we belittle our own competence. The work the police is doing, a friend of mine was telling me that, oh, police, what can they do? But I tell you, look at Dr. Frifa here. He's sent outside to help in investigating other cases. He's sent to teach in other schools, Syracuse, I believe, that university. You know, so we must believe in our specialists. And if they are able to let us know that this is the case or this is not the case, in either case, we must do our heart for them. Yeah. But we must prepare ourselves for the worst. I think everywhere, I think I wrote a certain small article asking the nation to prepare for good and for bad. If the bad comes, then it is something again that we all have to share. We all have to. The announcement is very, very important. Let us not take it as if it is a kind of enter into some polemics or political kind of gimmicks about this. I believe that this is the time for the nation to show that it is a national disaster. Yeah. It is something that we have to cope with and know that these things can happen in any part of the world, in our country too.
Who would you suggest would do the announcement? Should it be the IGP or?
In such cases, the police have done their work. The police can come out. Everywhere you have the police coming out to say whatever it is. My personal advice.
It is a national issue.
It's a national issue, but we have national institutions. The institution has worked. They've done their job. Let them put it out. Let the politicians come out later to offer what steps we should take in assuaging the families and the whole nation. That will be a political decision at the strategic level. Yeah. But an institution has done some job. let the institution tell us what their findings are. They hand it over to the politicians, and the politicians can now deal with healing the nation and healing the families. I believe if it happens that way, I will strongly suspect that the nation must support the families first with clinical psychologists to be working on them. To work on them for some time, and that will help. Secondly, the nation should take it upon themselves for the burial, if it is true. The burial, the ceremony, and the ceremony must be so national that people will now realize that no, we are all mourning, we are all in the mourning. It should be a national thing. I mean, the media must also help holding the situation.
All right. So at least one of the families is indicating that they would want a second opinion. Do they have an opportunity for a second opinion?
Yes, of course they do. But I can only say that it will still turn out to be same. DNA test, so far as we all use the same kind of procedure, it will turn out to be the same. If it is them, it will turn out to be 99.99%. If it is not them, it will turn out to be 0.
Wherever in the world they take it.
Wherever in the world that they take it. So far as they use the same methodology, the results will turn out to be the same.
Israel, my personal advice would be that it depends on how we handle the situation. If there is doubt, the family which is doubting must know that asking for a second opinion will be at their cost everywhere in the world. The police will not take it upon themselves to do any second opinion because the results, as he said, will be the same. So if they want a forensic scientist, a DNA scientist to come from outside, it's likely that it's going to be their cost.
And it's not cheap, actually.
It's not cheap. It is absolutely not cheap. That's why I've always said that Ghana Police Service has done a good job. They may not have come out with the cost, but I know the reagents are extremely expensive for DNA testing of relations matching and criminal one as such. You order, Dr. Frifa may not have said it, but I know that you have to order on the spur of the moment.
Yeah. For them to manufacture.
For them to manufacture. It is not on the shelf for you to go and buy. You tell them what crime you are using it for, why you are using it, and then they know what mixtures they can do for you and for what, you know. And if it comes, you got to work on it quickly. If you don't work on it and it goes bad, you got to order again. And you don't order just one small cylinder or that kind of thing. You got to order. And so the nation has spent also on these issues. So if anybody, I mean, we need to educate the families and any other persons who might want to doubt the result, that this is the case. That if it happens, we are all believing that it doesn't. But if it does happen and somebody says, no, I want a second opinion, it's not like a court thing where you can hire another lawyer. This one, and even there, hire another lawyer is a cost. Yeah. So it is the same thing trying to hire another specialist to do your whatever it is for you. And then we ask ourselves, for what purpose? So let us believe in what results will come, but let us handle the results very carefully and meticulously.
Now, earlier in your submission, you indicated that if they want a second opinion and they're going to use the same method, they're going to arrive at the same conclusion. Does that suggest that there's another method that could be used?
Okay, so here we use what we call the global filer kit for identification purposes. In most part of the world, in the US, for relationship testing, they use a global filer, or what we call the Parplex 24. If you use this, because the short tandem repeat that we use, the STR markers, are all the same. So whether you use the Parplex or the global filer, the results will turn out to be the same. If either it is 0.00% or it is 99.9%.
All right.
So once you use the same, we'll arrive at the same conclusion.
Result. What will be your final words as we conclude this show?
Well, I think the nation has been treated to this shock. The police have been made to come up to be at their best yeah, and show that they can be on top of the game. The media, everybody else has come in, and we are getting to a closure probably very soon. And I believe the nation must still stand together When the result is no, and we continue the investigation. When it's yes, again, the whole nation, the media, any other person involved, the police, everybody, and the politicians must help to actually heal this kind of shock or the wound that has been bestowed on us by criminals. And I believe that it is something, if it is true, it's something we're going to learn from and be able to think about our security more importantly. It is be a lesson for the police. It will be a lesson for everybody. Let the nation take this one wholeheartedly, seriously, and then we move forward as a nation.
Dr. Afrifa, what will be your concluding remarks?
So I just want to say this. I believe in what we have done. We have competent men, officers, who are more than capable of doing cases like this. I just hope that whichever way it turns out, you know, just as Dr. Introdanso said, the whole nation accepts it, and then we take it up from there. But I've already indicated there's a chance of a second opinion. If anybody wants to, you can always verify that, because these results are reproducible, because the exhibits are still there. So they have the benefit of that. But as I indicated, I believe in what we have done. We have done the meticulous work. We have checked and double-checked.
And you're still
double-checking. We just want to be sure so that when we finally arrive at the results, then we know that we've done a yeoman's job.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kofi Afrifa, Superintendent Dr. Kofi Afrifa, and he heads the DNA laboratory of the Ghana Police Service, and Dr. Vladimir Introdanso, who has brought his intelligence, international security experience to bear on the show. We do appreciate you. And for you all out there, we thank you for keeping faith with this program. And my final thoughts will be that whichever way the results turn out, as both panelists have talked about, that we'll all go along with it. And my heart actually goes out to the families who are involved in this. And I know that it has generally been a very difficult time for all of us, me personally, because I have been following this for a while now. So whichever way it turns out, can we all have everybody in this country unite and be behind the families and see them through whatever the outcome is. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.